All right. Hey, how are you? I think I got it working. I am using a monitor screen for everything that I'm doing, so there will be some stagger stops, but I'm here. I made it, and it's actually working. And I mean, my computer might actually burn through the table and fall through. Think alien blood. It will just eat through the surface, cook the table, and fall through. But shy of that, I think we're okay, honestly. And I think, let me see. Does this? Let's see. Hold on. I have to get out of studio mode for this, and then, yep. Hey, they all work. Look at that. Hey, I've got all this stuff. Look, it's working. Sort of. I mean, piece by piece. I'm rebuilding the whole thing for the road. So hopefully I'll get on there. And thanks, everybody. Look, I've even got a chat, a donation scroll. It's a start, and I think, let me see, my chat is up. Yes, it's Kentucky Syndrome, no question. Are we crazy? We might be. We may very well be. There's a lot to be crazy about. Yeah, I am wearing a Zoltan shirt. This is what happens when I'm traveling and I end up, in my bag, I still had one of these rolled up from touring, because that's how long it's been since I've used my suitcase. And it was in there. I was like, oh, I'll just leave it. And I washed it, and now I'm wearing it. So there we go. Ta-da! It's amazing how many conversations it started today amongst relatives and the like. But, it's a start. We're gathered around. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you guys for being patient around this travel week. I was hesitant to even say I was going to have shows at all, but indeed I wanted to, at least check in with you guys at some kind of interval. Obviously, it's much easier here when I've got some semblance of internet that's, it's not quite, I mean, it's not Bronze Age, but it'll do. So, hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hi. Lauren, thank you so much. And what was that? So, is the screen pulsing because of the computer hardware? No, the screen is pulsing because of the, obviously I'm messing with reality. No, it's the autofocus on this camera, which I can't turn off. I will be able to turn it off. I just haven't been able to yet. You have to understand that the camera that remember, I showed you guys this when I was going on the road. I was very proud of myself because I got the same camera that I use on my regular stream, right? We've talked about this. And I was very happy. I was like, okay, good. I know the quality will be solid. I know I can count on it, all these things. And then I swear to God, I had not turned the thing on until I brought it with me. I know. But I was like, I turned it on or whatever, and the picture had come up. So I was like, okay, it's fine. And then I charged it, and I had all my stuff. I just packed it and went on. All the menus are in Japanese. Yeah. Apparently the Sony A5100s and indeed the entire Alpha series is regional. So if you buy it in a different region, it's stuck in that region. And for licensing purposes, it's not supposed to allow you to have the menus in English. They're just always in Japanese. So obviously there's workarounds. We live in the future. So I managed to go online and hunt and peck for a way to turn the menus that way. And if anybody wants to go look at what I had to go through, just look up A5100 language stuck in Japanese. It's a good time. And I, if I was in Vegas, I would simply go to anyone who spoke Japanese. I know 3 people there who speak Japanese, and go, can you help me out? Can you change the buttons on this? And the thing is, they would have gone, I don't know, where there's no menu that says English there's no menu at all that says other languages. It's only Japanese. I'm like, well, that's because I had to hack the thing. So you have to download a piece of software, add that software to the thing, and it basically breaks the camera. And you have to operate through that app to turn on, click all these things to turn off some of the features that are only in the Japanese cameras. And then after a couple of switch throws and some real finagling, it was rough. All of a sudden, the language menu showed up again. It was gone entirely. And I'm like, look, I know I don't speak Japanese, and I certainly don't read Japanese, but I know language characters because they're not that different from from Chinese characters in there, and I know where the menus are, and on my camera I know where the menus are each one. You don't need to hear this, but this is what I went through this. I was basically like feeling around. I should know this room, basically, is what I was doing, and there was nothing there. And I'm like, I know there's nothing there. I'm not insane. I know there is no language menu. There wasn't. It's literally turned off in the internal software of it, so it doesn't even show it to you. So you have to go in and basically hack that, turn it on, and then you can go back out to the regular menus and then pick them, and that's what I did. And so I was so excited to just get up and set that I didn't change the fact that the autofocus is on, and it's going to do that a little. I'll fix it after the show, one step at a time. Good God, the mania, the nuttiness. But yeah, no, I have. This is the camera I was talking about, and Angela, I'll avert my eyes while you show us the deceased relative pics. Oh goodness, love the live stream, love you, thanks. Yeah, no, I won't pull that one off, and I'm tethered to this right now because I'm using a wired microphone. Or in tomorrow's live stream, I'll give you a couple of old Hal as a kid pictures. How about that? We'll do that. I'll spring that on you. I know, too bad it wasn't in Chinese. It would have been way easier. But even still, I speak more than I read. I'm like a six-year-old. I can speak very well. He speaks very well, but he can't read it as well. Yeah, it's definitely raining and crazy here. I'm scrolling through the chat and catching up on this. And then we'll jump into sort of the regular show before my computer cooks the entire setup. But I had to rebuild, like, all these scenes. I normally use a green screen and stuff. So I had to build me a new comm scene. What do you think? What do you think of the new digs? This is what it'll look like, kinda. I'll keep gussying it up a little bit, but this is what it'll look like when I'm. I think I honest to God, I deserve to be bigger. Thanks. But let's see. It should go. Let me go this way a little. Let's just call it that. And yeah. And oh, why did my name get behind me? Where's that? Should be over. There you go. Yeah, so this will work for the time being. And I'm sorry about the stagger video. I hope it doesn't give anybody the shakes. But yeah, so the big, of course, the big freak out from from Newsmax, besides the fact that their ratings are in the shitter. Yeah, the panic attack around that is adorable. They have, you know all the panic about Fox losing all its viewers, and they were all running to OAN and Newsmax? Yeah, they're running right back. They don't care. I mean, there's no honor among thieves, apparently, and these folks simply just do not care. So, and honestly, am I a little happy to see it turn out that way? Yeah, I kind of am. Am I surprised? No. No, I'm not. Why would anyone be surprised? What is the intrinsic difference between Fox and OAN and Newsmax? There is none. It's absurd. So all these folks like just bragging how they were kicking Fox's ass, and now they're not. And so obviously the two big stories is Biden's interview with Stephanopoulos. And you guys remember when we went over the Trump interviews, and they would edit stuff out. They would cut stuff down for time and for content and to make Trump seem coherent. And then all of a sudden, after that, like I would point out the oddness of the edits, right? And it's a common thing. It's a common thing to edit interviews. And I haven't watched what they talk about in this one or what clips they're going to use. But of course they edit interviews for time. They sit there for 20, 30 minutes and they've got a 7 or 10 minute or 12 minute segment and they've got commercials they're going to show. Of course they cut it down for time. And it's normal production. It's normal for them to do this with anybody. Celebrity interviews are like this. Unless it's an hour uninterrupted or any of that nonsense, all of that stuff they cut. And again, they'll edit they edit other people's. If they're interviewing Nancy Pelosi, there'll be edits. If they it doesn't matter. The only reason it mattered in Trump's case is because the edits are really ham-handed. It's super obvious they cut him mid-word. So it's, sometimes they'll take out a whole segment, like a line of questioning that didn't really go anywhere, didn't answer anybody's questions, and was just talking points. So they'll just get out, and they go, okay, that's not important. We'll just take the answer and the question out. In Trump's case, they would literally scissor out stuff, his jibber-jabber out of the middle, right? So we'll see what their problem is with Biden. I think their main problem with Biden is the normalcy of this interview, but because it was perfectly fine. But you have to understand, Greg Kelly is a miserable, ignorant bastard, and is living in hell right now. Not only is he on a nowhere network, but he's the rising star on Newsmax just as it's taking a crap. So at some point he's in this ego fight about that he's the main pinpoint of why people like Newsmax apparently, and yet now it's going down. So it's not his fault, it's everybody else's or the networks in general, and he's going to be full of the illusion that the network he was crapping on, namely Fox, he's going to want a job there. And Fox would give him one, by the way. To snatch him out of Newsmax and just park him over there on a leash, by the way, which he would gladly, tighten himself. That just having that as an out or whatever for him, and yet not being able to take it or them not asking, has got to be awful. Like the dude is just jammed up, right? So let's take a look. I want to see. Besides, obviously, they believe that the interview was somehow fake. I don't know what the fake part was, other than I guess the edits. But we'll see. Hold on. Let me see if I can get
interview.
This.
A fake news extravaganza over there on Good Morning America. George Stephanopoulos, Democrat, helping out his fellow Democrat.
Yeah, because nothing's worse than someone interviewing someone of the same party and kissing their ass the entire time, right, Greg? It's so wrong.
Joe Biden. Here we go.
Didn't prep for this at all, did you? They told you this was the segment. You sat down at the desk, and then you're going to play some clips that you haven't reviewed.
Let's talk about the crisis at the border. Some heartbreaking scenes down there right now. And a lot of the migrants coming in saying they're coming in because you promised to make things better. It seems to be getting worse by the day. Was it a mistake not to anticipate this surge?
Well, first of all, there was a surge the last 2 years, in 19 and 20, there was a surge as well.
This one might be worse.
No, well, it could be, but here's the deal.
First of all, it's Trump's fault. That's
What? Why are you cutting out when he's actually going to give the answer, Greg? And he's right. There was one. And a lot of these people were the people that Trump left just over the border in these tent cities. And now they think they've got a chance to actually make their case for asylum. The idea that they could make their case for asylum from home, obviously not a shot anymore, correct? Never mind. Let's just dump more kids on the Mexican side of the border in a cartel town, right, Greg? What's more pro-life than that?
He says all the time. Always the previous administration's fault. And George, by the way, but some are saying, hey, very, very nice. No follow-ups, nothing serious on him.
We didn't see the end of it. That was the question, and you got halfway into the introduction. What do you mean no follow-ups?
His part. And Joe got away with a lot. Hey, why should anything be different? He's been getting away with a lot for a very long time.
Unlike Trump when he phones in, he's at least sitting there. How about just give Biden a little credit for doing interviews in person, not phoning him in his PJs covered in Cheeto dust?
First of all, the idea that Joe Biden said come, because I heard the other day that they're coming because they know I'm a nice guy and I won't do what Trump did.
This.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. They're not.
They are. And you've been saying come to the border for years.
No, he hasn't. When has Biden ever said come to the border? What is he, Outback Steakhouse? What are you talking about? When, honest to God, honestly, I'm hard pressed to find any politician in the United States that's actually said come to the border of anyone. I mean, you could say immigration is our strength, diversity is our strength, we need a lot of people out there, all that kind of stuff. But Greg, really? That's where you're going. And by the way, again, stopping right before the answer starts. At least when I do this shit, I let you finish the thought, right, Greg?
As you get into...
Maybe I don't. Oh, well, in my defense, Greg, you don't have any thoughts. You've got a list of things on your paper, you've got stuff in your teleprompter, and you're directed of what clips you're going to show and say. I mean, seriously, are we going to pretend Greg Kelly has editorial control over his show on Newsmax?
To power, please, migrants, come. It's our job as Americans for you to surge the border.
Yeah, that's what he said. I mean, it's not what he says directly, but it's, you know, it's between the lines. Seriously. I understand hyperbole, but criminy.
He said it. He said it when he wanted that nomination so bad, and he had to prove how left and woke he was. 2019, go.
All right, let's play it.
What I would do as president is several more things, because things have changed. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard.
Oh, he's talking about surging attorneys and caseworkers so they can hear the asylum cases. We surge to the border to hear the people that are there. They deserve to be heard. Doesn't mean they all get to stay. When you come in and say, I'm here on for asylum. Asylum from what? The wages in my country. I got a buddy who's already in the States. He says he can get me a job. No, go home. Like, ask the Canadians.
Great. Got his wish.
A witch.
One promise he kept, huh? How about that?
Wow, Greg, trying very hard tonight. This is, I'm impressed. Just sell it, Greg. Come on. You can get those ratings back up. Yeah, just, I don't know, act more like Bill O'Reilly. That's good. That was perfect. That was great. Mwah. Cut. Yeah, that's a wrap. No. You can't get any more O'Reilly than that. That was sweet, or whatever. Throw us do some early Glenn Beck, maybe. You know, you might need a chalkboard without the props.
You may remember when we had this unaccompanied children of the border when Barack was president. He called me back. I was in Turkey and said, you got to take care of this. And I was able to get a bipartisan bill passed for almost $800 billion to go to the root cause of why people are leaving. Why are they leaving El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras? Because they're in terrible circumstances, either because of natural disasters and hurricanes, gangs, or violence.
Did you catch that?
Yes, that's exactly why they're leaving all their countries to come to the United States. Natural disasters, guns, or violence. Violence from the gangs themselves, or war, or any other kind of cultural clashes that are going on there. That's exactly why. Everybody knows that's exactly why. I can't wait to hear what Greg Kelly thinks of reality.
That really happened?
Yes, it did.
Did Barack Obama call him in Turkey? You got to get back here right away. You got to pass a bill right away.
No, he said we need to work on this. When he returned from Turkey, they did. I know you don't remember any of this, Greg, because you didn't give a shit about anybody back then.
I think it happened
Not that you do now.
like that. And $800 billion to find out why they're leaving? We know why they're leaving.
It wasn't just to find out. We funded support in those countries with that money.
All right, we know about the...
I'm sorry, it was a bipartisan bill. Were the Republicans thereby just kind of like wondering? Were they scratching their head? Let me guess. The favored nations part of Trump's saving us from awful drug prices. What was that again? That was a commission on why.
The challenges down there. What's really going on?
Yeah, what is really going on? It's probably like Marxist leftists. It's ringing the dinner bell.
What I did, I spent close to 100 hours with the leaders of those three countries and the UN, making sure that what we would do, for example, in one of the major cities down there, they said the crime rate's terrible. That's why people are leaving this particular city. But we have no street lighting. And the government said, give us the money. I said, I'm not going to give you the money, but I tell you what, Show me what you need. I'll get contractors down there. We'll put in the street lights for you because a lot of corruption down there. And guess what? Violence came down.
Contracts. We'll get you the contractors. He will, because corruption is high down there. Corruption is everywhere, Mr. Biden, everywhere. That is very revealing.
What? What? I was honestly waiting for a thought there. I was like, please, Greg Kelly, finish this out with, it was Joe's brother that got the contracts to put the streetlights in. What are you talking about?
Mr. Biden.
Mr. Biden, it's everywhere. Corruption is all around us. You're the most corrupt guy. What? What?
Everywhere. That is very revealing. All right, some domestic Democrat issues came up about...
Wait, that's it? Yes. What did, honest to God, that is actually a very smart thing to do. We're not going to give you money to put up streetlights because you'll smoke it. So tell you what, you tell us where the streetlights need to go. We'll send people down there to put the streetlights in. Us and the UN together. They're going to come in and set up. What are you talking about? I swear to God, I thought he was going to land it at the feet of Biden, that somehow somebody got the contract. Nope.
Oh, they asked him about Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York. What should he do next?
What do you think he should do next? Huh? Mr. Cancel Culture? Huh? What do you think? Tell us about Me Too again, Greg. Tell us what you think.
So let me ask you about Governor Cuomo of New York. I know you said you want the investigation to continue. If the investigation confirms the claims of the women, should he resign?
Yes, I think he probably end up being prosecuted too.
Yeah, I can't wait for Greg to. Please, Greg, come to the defense of Andrew Cuomo. Not the Andrew Cuomo right now.
Resign.
Hold on.
Yes, I think he probably end up being prosecuted.
But oh God, this is going to be so good. How do you get yourself in such a stupid Gordian knot, Greg? Because what he said, if he's found guilty, if what the women say is true, he should resign and he'll probably get prosecuted for if two of the girls are alleging he physically touched them without that's technically assault. It doesn't mean he's going to go away for a long time, but he can't live next to a playground, I think, is technically the law. We'll find out. But literally going to the setup question is, if he's guilty, if they find that he's guilty.
Too.
Wow. Now, they had to have about 16, at least, different meetings about what Joe Biden was going to say to that question.
Why? Why would they have to have 16 meetings about that? I don't understand Greg's line on this. By the way, other than the fact that Greg is trying to salvage his ratings by doing my shtick. Except the difference is, Greg, I do the whole segment. I don't pick little pieces out. If I bail out in an interview or something like that and something happens afterwards, nobody can bitch about me for taking stuff out of context. All I did was the first part of the interview. Tell me what happened later and I'll comment on it. But if I'm going to watch something like Biden's interview, I'm going to start at the top and you're done when he's done, dummy.
Because he never went that far before. He
never went that far before because there was less information before. What the hell are you... All right. I'm starting to get aggravated by Greg Kelly's desperation.
His own issues on that matter. And after he talked about it, I have the sense that the Joe Biden press people got on the phone with GMA and they made a little accommodation. They talked about the Cuomo situation for a while. Listen carefully to this portion.
I started with the presumption. It takes a lot of courage for women to come forward. Some are not, anyway. It takes a lot of courage to come forward. So the presumption is it should be taken seriously.
Some are not, anyway. They have to be taken seriously. Did you catch that? He caught himself.
Yeah, he's speaking. And he's speaking diplomatically about a situation he doesn't know about. but he's talking about the broad strokes of it, meaning women coming forward against a man of great power. And I'm waiting. Greg, tell us what we missed there, because
He stopped.
Yes, he did. He reshaped his language.
Joe has been accused. He stopped. He stopped himself. All right? Now, that's one version you can find.
Yeah, and vetted last year. They went through the whole thing. It was incredible. That's how it goes. But he also was like, listen to her. You make up your own mind. That's what you do.
Of this interview on the website. What actually aired on television when millions were watching.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Greg, are you trying to tell me that the segment during the finite television show, time-wise, is shorter than the longer version on the website, where the network can say, if you enjoyed our interview with the president, there's more of it on our website? Who does that?
A little bit different.
But I started with the presumption. It takes a lot of courage for women to come forward. So the presumption is it should be taken seriously, and it should be investigated, and that's what's underway now.
You see what happened?
Yeah, they made it longer, and that's what's underway now, is an additional, what, there was 2 sentences? What'd they remove? What was the part? Greg, please tell us. Tell us that the incriminating, wait, is Tara Reid behind him? What's happening?
They took out that part. Some of these women, where he caught himself, that's gone.
But the other part's longer, so what?
That was an edit. That was an edit designed to...
Designed to go on the nationally televised version of the show?
help Joe Biden.
Was it? Were they helping? Edited for clarity, exactly. Greg, try harder, buddy. Oh, man. It's literally like watching a wiffle ball version of the Star Wars kid.
And it kind of makes sense because, well, Joe Biden is being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So by the way, Greg, if that's the standard we're using, can I just clarify? If we're not to trust anything Biden says when he's being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos, then every interview you've had with Giuliani or Trump or any of that crowd, we should just write off as bullshit. I can do that. Okay, I can lose a couple of Biden interviews for every single interview you have on your network.
George Stephanopoulos, press secretary to Bill Clinton way back in the early 1990s.
Why are you frustrated? I don't know.
Also makes sense why they sat down with George Stephanopoulos.
Are you just mad, Greg, they didn't want to talk to you? Did you make a phone call, Greg? Really? I can understand why they'd want to talk to George, but certain people, we leave flowers on their car and a little note, and nothing happens. I never liked him anyways, probably a liar. Joe, please come on the show. Please come on the show and give me an interview that we can cut to make you look like you have dementia. Please, please. It's the only thing that will stop us. We're in free fall. Then Newsmax free fall. That's what they're calling it.
Because,
by the way, if you're watching on any of the channels, don't forget to go to newsmax.com and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hi there.
someone's got to spin these numbers. There was an
You mean like Newsmax ratings?
all-out crisis on the border, and it's far worse than anything that happened under Donald Trump. He was...
Yeah. He dumped 8,800 kids on the Mexican side of the border. It's almost the exact number. Here's the average, 2,600 or so. And then the overage is literally the children, 8,800. 8,800 children were dropped on the Mexican side of the border, unaccompanied, in a cartel town, or in several cartel towns, technically, by Donald Trump. Unaccompanied, minors. Not our problem. Bloop. And aid organizations and NGOs have tried to scoop up as many of them as they could. Certainly ones fell through the cracks. But they've effectively been waiting, unaccompanied, as children in Mexico, even though they're from Venezuela and Guatemala and other countries, Some of them, no doubt, are from Mexico and are either without parents or their parents sent them off to try and make it, which is the next best thing. And all those children are now being taken care of by the Biden administration. They were always there. We dumped them there during the Trump years. Pro-life what? Pro-life again? Pro-life says what?
Was working to fix it. Joe Biden, as we all heard, inviting migrants to show up at the border and demand asylum. He's been doing it for years. All right, still more fallout from the Grammy Awards.
Really? That's all you've got on it? Dude, the name of this video is They Edited It, Greg Kelly on This Fake News Extravaganza. Oh, that's kind of telling. Why wouldn't you say Greg Kelly on Biden's fake news extravaganza if you're accusing him? Or are you just saying that Newsmax is, in fact, a fake news extravaganza? Okay, maybe, touche, sure. Why not? I can't argue with that.
And a little bit about my take on the Grammy Awards. You remember this? Did you see this? Whew. I mean, it's...
Yeah, it's filth that somebody would show that on television, right, Greg? I mean, can you imagine anybody playing that?
pretty intense. Now, I've seen all kinds of stuff. A lot of us have, because, well, we have phones and materials everywhere now.
We have phones and the material is everywhere now. I mean, it's like you can't even swipe left on your phone without just weird, like, lesbian mom giant bed porn showing up on your phone. I mean, I don't know how you can avoid it. I mean, officer, I don't know how this stuff ended up in my search results. It's just something that could happen to anybody. One time I tripped down the stairs and you wouldn't believe what I accidentally downloaded. Mr. Kelly, can you please step away from the computer? I just need to delete a few things more before all right.
But we're not expecting to see it on network TV.
I don't expect to see this on network TV. So thanks for admitting that Newsmax isn't a network. I think we're making progress in your sessions, Greg. I mean, that's CBS. You're going to kill some old people. This is part of what COVID didn't cull. Apparently, CBS is trying to do.
CBS, Sunday night. We're not ready for this stuff.
Yeah, obviously, you are not ready for this jelly in any form or fashion. I mean, honest to God. Hold on. Yeah. Tell us again.
And we're not even ready for it when it's in our own pocket.
I beg your pardon? Oh my God. Greg is excellent. Zoltan. I sold one. Look at that. That's nice. I appreciate that. Greg is admitting he's playing pocket pool. That's scary. I mean, I think we're all afraid now. I don't even know how.
Although it's everywhere, and I think this material ultimately is damaging. It's alluring.
Yeah, it's filth. It is disgusting. That anybody would put that on screen, I think, shows a moral failing on their part. Anybody who would willingly, knowingly, I mean, obviously, it's accidental on my part because I didn't know you were going to post this shit. I thought you were just going to talk about it. Why you're not blurring it out to prove your point is beyond me, Greg. But I appreciate you being honest about playing pocket pool towards this video when you had it on your phone. But now that it's on CBS, it's starting to gross you out. And so much so, it's so upsetting to you that you had to put it on your show. What are you talking about?
It's there, and I've seen.
Oh, I've seen how much more of this can anybody take? I mean, I wish they would never put something like this on the screen and just leave it there I mean, what if somebody walks in and here we are, you and me, Greg, just looking at this. It's terrible that anybody would even, good Lord, is that a roll of lifesavers?
Stuff, I'm sure maybe you have.
Maybe I've what? Hold on, what?
It's everywhere, and I think this material ultimately is damaging. It's alluring. It's there.
It's alluring. It's there.
And I've seen stuff. I'm sure maybe you have.
Greg. We've seen stuff. Tell us about the stuff you've seen, Greg. What did you do? You've seen it. Is that what happened? You saw it, did you? Were you standing at the bus stop and somebody had it on their iPad and you couldn't believe that they were playing it? Is that what happened, Greg? You saw it. You've seen it. You have to look it up. You have to tune in. But please tell me how this should be canceled. Like you're canceling your subscription to broadcast television now because you're horrified. You know, this reminds me of that Jiminy Glick thing where he's talking to Steve Martin. He's like, you see that in, porno movies. You're in these hotels and they're always showing these porno movies. And you see these things like something liquid this way comes. And there's a bunch of cowboys and they're lassoing. And you see that. And Steve Martin's like, yeah, you do. You do. Just see it. Greg, what have you seen? Show us on the WAP Live performance where the bad man touched you.
But we don't want to see this on CBS.
I don't want to see it on CBS. We just want to show the clips on Newswax.
I'm being unreasonable.
Greg, oh my God. You're being unreasonable because you're asking them not to show stuff that you're showing. And you're a news program. You didn't put up a warning at the beginning of your show that people might see some scattered ass.
In the old days,
In the old days, there were no black women on television. In the old days, you wouldn't exist because there was only television.
this kind of material
That's sweet.
was relegated to the corner of the newsstand. And
It was relegated to the corner of the newsstand. It was banished to the end of the chunky asses. There's a sequel to a very popular book called Butt Pie. Never mind. Nobody knows The Golden Child like I do.
to get it, you had to go get it yourself.
Is that really? Greg, tell us what it was like. Did you have to put it in a plain brown envelope? Were you all embarrassed? Did you have to buy it like a sports magazine and a truck magazine and just hide it? Motang. Did you? That's really loud. Sorry. Is that what you had to do, Greg? Did you wear sunglasses? What was it like buying porn in the old days, Greg? Tell us. Really? You're going to play a Woody Allen clip? Okay. All right. Okay. You're blurring that out. You're blurring that out. You didn't blur. All right.
Woody Allen and Bananas trying to buy an adult magazine.
Yes, we know. Greg, we know that's Woody Allen. It says bananas up in the corner, and that's what he's doing.
But that's quaint compared to what we have now, right?
No, she's fully nude. Zoltan. It's not quaint. She's topless. She's naked. She's naked, and the women in the magazines were naked. It's full nudity. It's not quaint. You still can't show that.
It's on the TV.
It's not on the TV. It's not. It's now on the TV. You put it on the TV. There are two places it was shown, on CBS and your show.
Again, this stuff is out there.
Yeah, it totally is. It's everywhere. You can't. One time I set down my phone at a Starbucks, and when I picked it up, I was like, good God, it's covered in porn. And then I realized I'd picked up Greg Kelly's phone by mistake. You ever do that? Happens.
But it's not for CBS, right?
Not after Matlock. Not before Murder, She Wrote. You can't wedge WAP in between reruns of MASH.
Right? Not at the Grammy Awards.
Yeah, at the Grammy Awards. What are you talking about?
Makes no sense.
It makes total sense. I'm sorry. Are you just completely unaware of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera's oeuvre? Or are you just playing dumb at this point?
And when they weren't doing that stuff, they were getting awfully political, weren't they? And saying things about law enforcement that I don't think are particularly helpful right now. So that's Lil Baby starts his video off with a police shooting. Happened to be a white police officer, person of color. To say the least, add that to the Cardi B.
Yeah, there's almost no white people at all. Is that what you're upset about, Greg?
The Stallion thing.
The Stallion thing.
That was a controversial award show, right? The mainstream media, though, they can't be seen doubting it or questioning it. They have to embrace it. They have to love it.
Okay, let's see them love it. Did George Stephanopoulos interview a couple of WAPs?
A lot of people were levitating last night. Luke is right, you killed it. It was worth staying up late for.
It sure
so
was.
Well done.
Stayed till the bitter end.
Wait a minute. It was late? You mean like after bedtime for most adults, much less children?
Changing the clocks actually helped.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's absolutely right. For a change, it was good to spring up. It's worth staying up for. The energy was off the charts.
It was almost magical being around people again.
Yes.
The artists, everyone was just so happy. And it was a mood of hope amid the celebration.
Now, I'm certain there were white people who talked about the Grammys in a positive way. But I don't know for the life of me why Greg Kelly couldn't find any. It's almost as if he's presenting a ghost narrative to his entire thing, that the Grammys are overrun with disgusting black people making violent and sexually suggestive music, and that it's being pushed by black people in the media as a storyline. Gee, I don't know why I would come to that conclusion. What more do you have? Tell him, Greg.
I get there's a reason why I'm not sitting at the CBS News table.
Oh, I get it. Because you're white? Is that what you mean?
Did they all think it was that great, that wholesome, the energy, the hope?
I don't know that they said wholesome at any point. As a matter of fact, I think they pointed to the fact that it was on late because of the content. It actually helped that the time change made it later. All right.
I mean, if anything, maybe a little bit of diversity of opinion on something like that, but no.
So we're on, let me guess. So the Grammys were on CBS. This is what you're telling me. And that they shouldn't have been on CBS. But the next morning, the hosts of the CBS morning show talked about it very positively. That's the shocking news, Greg. That's it. That's what we're supposed to take away. That CBS put on the Grammys, and then the next morning, everybody's like, it was the thing to see. Greg, Booby, I'm beginning to understand why, even without the Trump thing, your ratings might be in the crapper.
All right, something tragic happened, a crime in Atlanta. We'll talk about that for a moment.
Oh dear. Sex-addicted killer. Well, I guess we're just going to paint this narrative right away. There we go. We are going wholesale onto it had nothing to do with race.
To see this, 4 women in 2 different incidents were shot by a 21-year-old gunman. 4 women, they happened to be Asian, working at massage parlors. A lot of folks thought this might be a hate crime at first. I kind of think that all shootings are probably hate crimes, but...
No, they're not. No, they're not. Hate and the emotion is not the same thing as the racial hate we're talking about, or ethnic or religious hate, which also applies, because the abstract hatred towards a group means that everyone in that group is in danger no matter whether they know the person or not. Whereas if I hate in the abstract, and please don't read too much into this. If I hate Greg and I strangle Greg, other guys named Greg are not in danger of being. There's not a hate crime towards Gregs in the world. Okay, you follow me? As much as I hated him, it's not because I hate the name Greg. Okay, that's not. And so when they rule on how long they need to put me away, they can go, well, Greg had it coming. A lot of people would love to choke Greg. And a lot of people go, well, no matter how much you like to choke Greg, a lot of people walk around wanting to choke Greg, but they don't choke Greg. And you did. So you need to go to jail for a while until you think about how wrong it was to choke Greg, even though everybody else wanted to choke Greg and nobody choked Greg. And they have to weigh that against me being in court going, look, it wasn't, we were in a fight and I was choking Greg because we were in a fight and I didn't mean to kill him, but I did. And it was between me and Greg. It wasn't, I heard his name was Greg, and just the name Greg makes me want to, that's the difference. If it's a hate crime if I'm like all Gregs, right? That's the difference. Are we just going to pretend that Greg Kelly gives a shit? Is that what I'm doing? I'm making that mistake, aren't I?
But this one may have been racially motivated. That's what they were thinking, but according to the suspect, it was not. But when they were reporting this, and I happened to catch that CBS morning show again, this is what they said about the suspect.
Okay. What, that he's a Trump supporter?
The suspect arrested 150 miles away after a chase is a white man. His name is Robert Aaron Long. That is his picture there.
Okay, I can see that he's a white man. But the media, they really wanted this actually to be a hate crime. And hate crimes are actually in the criminal code. And if it's motivated by racial bias, that makes it a more severe crime. But
right. Yeah, he didn't go into any massage institutions or places of massage that didn't have Asians in them. Even if he sees his fixation as being wholly on Asian women, and he decides he's going to kill Asian women who he views as being this, magnet he can't get away from, it's still racially motivated, and therefore all attractive Asian women, in theory, from now till eternity, are less safe with this dickhead on the streets. It is a racist crime. And he's going to go, it can't be a hate crime because he liked going there. Or is that the take we're taking?
But pointing out that he's white
is just obvious from the picture.
Is that germane when we can all see it? Or am I being too sensitive here?
You're being too sensitive here.
Look,
Greg's, Greg, you've been to a massage parlor. Tell us your take and let us know how the porn ended up on your phone. I get it.
I've reported on a lot of crime. And you actually stay away from the ethnicity for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, usually when it's germane to when it hasn't been caught. I mean, that has a big part of it as well.
Michael Moore made this case. Michael Moore, the filmmaker, he's ultra liberal. I disagree.
Is he?
Agree with 99% of the stuff that he does, but he made an interesting point, and after he did it, news organizations revised how they reported the description of suspects.
How come whenever I'm out here, though, I turn on the 11 o'clock news and, I hear, tonight in South Central, drive-by shooting, or tonight in South Central, this, that, or whatever. I mean, they're not making that up, are they?
No, they're not making it up, but they're choosing what they're covering.
Now, the suspect is a black male in his 20s. We are told he has a large afro, sideburns. He was wearing a silver chain at the time.
Police say the suspect is a black man, 6'1", 160 to 180 pounds, about 35 years in age.
The suspect is a black male, aged 16 to 18.
The suspect is African-American. Police
say
a black man.
The thinking was that they were demonizing people because of their skin.
Okay. By the way, important distinction here. I know Greg won't make it, but I will. They're using clips from, and so is Michael Moore in that segment, about the suspects in something before they have been caught. This guy was described as a white male when they were looking for him. Victims described him as a white male. They gave a description in exact line with these.
People got very sensitive about this, and they started to change the language they used in the news.
Again with the white man. That's the title of this segment. Again with oi. Why don't you just put an oi on there? Oi. Again with the white man.
But now, times have changed. And if the suspect is white, it's have at it. Have at it. I think it was wrong then, and I think it's wrong now.
Hi, dummy. In those segments, they are asking for the public's help in finding a murder suspect. What good is it of giving a description to the public to have them help you if you don't give a full description? The guy was already caught in the other segment that you're bitching about.
All right. Time for some truth about Trump.
Really? That's what we're going to end this whole segment on? Some truth about Trump? What? He's 6'2"? He's actually obese?
You are fake news.
That's their graphic? Dude, that's your graphic. You play that little, that's the... Where do you guys spend the money? I don't understand. 150,800 people have watched this clip, much less the show itself. You know they're making bank on their ad stuff. What are you spending it on, Greg? Hair gel?
They said he was lying. They counted all the lies. Those,
right.
When they said he was lying, they were lying.
Oh, Lord.
He was right about so much.
Was he? He was so right when everyone was so wrong. If thinking Trump is right is wrong, then I don't want to be right, which is wrong.
They said he was wrong. Here's one of those classic moments. We have already told you about the Charlottesville lie, and they characterized what he said about those protesters.
He was defending them. He was defending the Confederate supporters.
But this was interesting. It came actually at the same press conference. Listen carefully.
Okay, I'm going to listen carefully. Tell me about it. I mean, I wasn't doing my show at this time, so I can't honestly say how I would have handled it at the time. I'm guessing I would have taken a giant shit all over it.
Many of those people were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. So,
right, the Confederate general and a statue that was put up well after.
This week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Well,
it stops at the Confederates.
Wouldn't be next week or the week after, but 3 years later, Donald Trump was right. The campaign to remove our heroes from the public square, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, even Abraham Lincoln, it actually happened.
That's Columbus.
He was right. He was, though, once again, ahead of his time.
What are you talking about? That was Columbus. Columbus wasn't a founding father. He came here 200 years before the thought of the country even existed. He worked for a monarch. How in the hell is that proof he was right? Honest to God, like, anybody, like, saying that Columbus had something to do with America as a country and not just discovery and, you know, and him coming over here and yada yada, and on behalf of the Spaniards specifically, saying that that had anything to do with the founding of the United States is ridiculous, because it took us a little over 200 years, just about a little less than 200 years, let's say, to start fomenting the idea that America would separate from England and become a wholly different place. Columbus was there to further the monarchy. Again, much closer to the alignment. Belief in Columbus, being a hero, is much more in line with the idea of Confederates being heroes, as opposed to people who fought for the Union or established it or kept it going.
You just watched.
Honest to God, is it just me, or is he just straight up whiffing it? You are fake news. That's right. He's like pointing at Greg. You are fake news. Oh, God. It's so... Thanks, Carlene. What the hell? And by the way, what do you think Greg Kelly makes a day? A day. Salary-wise. $5K a day? Not that much. Maybe $2,000 a day for his show? Something like that? Maybe 10, because I'm thinking 10 grand a week, probably in his contract. That's pretty sound for what Newsmax's reach is. 17,000? 3,000 a day? All right. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, they're paying him too much. Yeah, that's right. Cancel culture, the boss motif. $7.50 an hour, right? Yeah, I would say 2K to 3K, and which means everybody else in that network is making 500 to 750 a day, for the same audience that Fox has, where people are making 9 to 15 million a year. That's why they're all pissed. But that's what they make. Shooter loved cancel culture. Yeah. Well, that is cancel culture. Murdering someone. He's straight up whiffing it. He is. Like, this is one of the most pathetic Newsmax gatherings oh, no. Look who's joining us. Q&A with Rudy Giuliani. Q&A? Who in the what is the whole... Butthole! I know. It's just terrible. Look at Rudy. And... they're relaxing. He's in a sweater. And he's sitting over by the... Oh, he's away from the glory hole, at least. I guess that's progress.
Welcome. This is Rudy Giuliani.
Is it? I don't believe it.
And welcome to Rudy's Common Sense, episode 120.
Yes, we've all been waiting for it with bated breath. Well, not breath. Okay.
120 is a special episode for us because we made it a special episode.
Well, okay. Yeah. It's the participation trophy of shows. We're starting to run out of ideas. We're definitely going to run out of ideas by 119. What do we do?
And I'm going to answer your questions.
He didn't, by the way, spoiler alert, I'm guessing he didn't answer my question.
And it's going to be released on St. Patrick's Day, which is why I have my green tie on. Because I grew up celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade when I was mayor. I think I set a record. I once marched 4 times.
I don't know why marching 4 times in a St. Patty's Day parade. You know who sets a record for marching in St. Patty's Day? Cops. I mean, honestly, bagpipe players, they're in all of them. What?
With the police?
Uh-huh.
Fire, sanitation, corrections. Oh, and Manhattan College, 5 times. 2 of them were complete. The others were half and half.
Yeah. So, they were complete, and the rest of the time you just buzzed off, right? Okay. What? You do realize, Rudy, that the people you were marching with march in it every year. They're always there. You marched with them. What's the record? Oi.
I'm seeking others who have marched more because I may try to get on the Guinness Book of Records. But happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. And now let's get to the questions. And thank you. We got a lot of them, and I'm doing my best to select
the ones that don't call me a shitheel and a liar and a traitor.
You know, the most general ones that people
yeah, just generally they're all positive.
Interested in, or the most I don't know.
I don't know. Just the ones where people don't call me out for being the traitor that I am, or being wrong about everything, or don't go, fuck you, where's the Hunter Biden laptop?
It's the ones that we can get to.
Yeah, these are the only ones we have time for. How did you become such a great mayor? Is it by having sex with your cousin?
The first one is anonymous.
Whoa.
And it's If you could give advice to your 20-year-old self.
Oh my God.
What would it be?
Have sex with someone because it's going to be the last time you're going to be, it won't be disgusting for you to have sex with another 20-year-old.
My first impulse there was to say, don't go into politics because of the way things are now.
That's what I would say to your 20-year-old self. That's weird.
My second impulse is go into politics.
And then I would go punch anybody who says you should go into politics.
And maybe the wiser answer. Because
you made a lot of money and a lot of connections and you've lived a very pampered life and you've been able to be completely full of shit and yet get away with a lot.
And I mean this in the most humble way possible.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. The most humble way possible.
I was very, very fortunate and I had great people working. I accomplished a great deal. And I look back on it, I made the right choice. Well, first of all, I became a lawyer. And
great. Yeah, tell us the whole story.
As a United States attorney, I think I accomplished a great deal in going after the mafia.
Yeah, you got the low-hanging fruit so the Russians could move in. How much did they pay you for that?
Really changing it significantly.
Yeah, so that, it was no longer the Italian mob. It was the Russian and Chinese mob. Yeah.
Changing the picture for Italian Americans also.
Yeah, sure. They had to get legit jobs, I guess, because the Russians would murder them.
Removing that prejudice that hurt people of my heritage and background.
And then how awkward that you would add to it later in life.
Opening up the use of the racketeering statute that people had never used before, as really never used before. Not only against the mafia, but then against...
It's weird that they'd never used it before, even though they created it so they could use it.
High-level business criminals. I probably prosecuted the most significant financial cases, I'm not going to say ever, but certainly of the decade. Movie Wall Street was based on what I did. We prosecuted 2 former Nazis or Nazis who were
Yeah. Nobody's really a former Nazi.
Hiding in the United States. Sent them off to their just...
Yeah, that wasn't... So basically at this point, your 20-year-old self would have walked away going, who the fuck are you? Why are you yammering about yourself?
Awards.
God, I'm boring when I'm older. Maybe I shouldn't go into politics if this is what it turns me into.
Tremendous amount of drug crime, including not only the Italian mafia connection to it, but the Colombian cartels. Earned several threats to cut my throat by the FARC, 2 contracts from the mafia to kill me. Very proud of that.
Yeah, and then they decided that it would be more damaging ultimately to let you live.
Prosecuted terrorists. Then I became mayor.
And regretted all of it.
I think I did a lot to change New York City. And I'm...
Yeah, sure. Especially if you're a black resident.
Living through the agony of watching it somehow slip back. But I'm still very proud of what my team was able to accomplish. So I say to young people,
don't sit in a leather chair when you're doing an interview because it'll sound like you're breaking wind the entire time. Is that, can we not? All right, why are you?
Been a lot of sacrifices being in politics, including right now, being the subject of totally malicious lies. I can't even keep up with them correctly.
Yeah.
Some of them persist for years and years, even though you answer them.
Jesus Christ. He's still talking to his 20-year-old self.
And being sort of the focus of this very, very vicious left wing.
You know what? Bullshit. I forget what I said the second time. I was right the first time. Don't go into politics.
Cancel culture attempt to destroy you. That's why I would have originally said, don't go into politics. Go into politics.
Make up your fucking mind, dude. Or do I really look like that when I'm older? Is there an elixir I can drink to stop this?
Because on balance, I think we're gonna prevail. Those of us who have common sense.
So you're doomed, is what you're saying.
We got to stay with it. We can't abandon it. You got to have courage. If you don't take risks, you're not going to have a good life.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, after having talked to his 20-year-old self, all of a sudden scars start to appear all over Rudy Giuliani because his younger self took that seriously and went, I took a bunch of risks, you know. I got in on bungee jumping early before they'd really tested the gear. And
if you don't overcome fear, you're not going to accomplish a darn thing. So think about public service. Most importantly, find what makes you happy, because you'll do what makes you happy better than anything else.
That's right. And by do, I mean a 15-year-old Ukrainian girl.
And I found being a lawyer, and at the core, even more than politics, I love being a lawyer. But thank you for that question, whoever you are.
Yeah, it wasn't his son writing one up to replace one of the crap ones.
What does the future of the Republican Party look like to you, from Sarah Gatz? Well, thank you, Sarah, for that question.
Are you any relation to Matt?
I give you an unusual answer.
Or are you his alter ego when he's with Nestor?
It looks very bright to me. Now, I say that realizing that I am very worried that my country is moving very boldly toward socialism.
Well, and of course you would think that because you don't know what socialism is and you hate people.
And toward internationalism.
Internationalism. You do realize you live in New York, right?
Finding this difficulty saying America first. If we're not first, what are we?
Well, we're first among ourselves. Still, I mean, if you have to say America first for it to be America first, if you have to use the moniker, then isn't that the same as claiming to be a Christian and behaving completely differently? If it's America first, then why won't the Republicans pass an infrastructure bill without the danger of a filibuster? If it's America first, why wouldn't you have wanted the ACA completely to have a public option which people could buy into, not a social program? People could purchase it with their own funds, pay, and it would pay out to actual hospitals. It wouldn't establish any kind of socialist structure in the country. Why didn't you support that?
Looks like we're last and China is first.
No, it doesn't. Why would Biden have just met with the Quad? Why are they basically restarting TPP in another form? Honestly, I mean, you can believe, China first, America third or some shit if you want to make up some sort of thing. But making it last, I think there's a lot of countries in the world. We're not after Haiti or Guam. Well, technically Guam's part of our country, but you know what I mean, as far as our strategy of investment.
Policies that I see. And internally...
it's a territory. It should be a state.
Looks like we're moving aggressively toward a welfare state, which is...
No, we're not.
Socialism.
Welfare state isn't socialism. Socialism is if you would set up a structure wherein the government provides you with a service. Physically. They don't give you money to go buy it on the open market. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose of socialism.
And we're ruining free and fair elections. We're attempting to. The Democrats looks like they're attempting to become the permanent party, which would make us a one-party country.
Why? You guys can't win fair and square?
All of this kind of fits into the Marx schedule.
The Marx schedule. Did you guys get your Marx schedule, by the way? I got my Marx fireman calendar. Whew.
Marx handbook.
The Marx handbook. Oh, good. All right. They have a foot book as well? I mean, because my hands are full.
Written about 150 years ago about how you bring a country to socialism. Make a country hate itself, destroy its statues, its heroes, its history, and then,
And then have its only defender be an old crazy man sitting in a leather chair making fart noises every time he moves. Right. All right.
Give them an alternative. But I also think the majority of the American people will, as they start to realize it in the beginning they're going to turn against it very, very strongly. And I see...
Well, what you're seeing is not that the country's going to be for it for a little while and then turn against it. It's that it's never been an actual option. And so you will claim victory over something that you created the idea was going to happen when it just didn't.
In the Republican Party, a much better bench than in the Democrat Party.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing but winners. I don't even know how you pick a batting order with crowd like that.
I think we have the strongest leader, despite the fact that
he lost and he doesn't speak very well and he's kind of an old fart and he's doddering around and playing golf and He looks like he's been hit with a brick in every picture we've seen.
President Biden is the president, and I think Trump still is a much stronger presence, a much stronger leader.
Yeah, totally. Just from Mar-a-Lago, just from the golf course, just phoning into Newsmax once, and Maria Bartiromo trying to convince his followers to take the vaccine so they don't all die between now and the next election.
Much more in command of himself.
Yeah, totally in command of himself. Yeah, if there's ever been an example of self-control, it's Trump.
And his policies are clear, and they're clearly his.
Yeah, they're clearly his.
But I also think...
I mean, they don't work, but they're his.
We have, and I'm not going to mention any one of them, because then I'll leave out one, and they'll call me, and I'll get in trouble, as I have in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard. If you start naming one great Republican, it's just they all get mad that you didn't bring them up, because they're all that great.
But I think when you look at the large number of people that you see that might be presidential candidates or...
So Trump's not running, is what you're saying?
Candidates moving up from the House to the Senate or governor to the Senate, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm very impressed.
Oh, yeah, me too. They're amazing.
I'm very impressed with some of our senators, some of our governors, and some of our members of Congress, maybe even more than anyone.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that have the least to lose and have the craziest gerrymandered districts, it's amazing how the safer their district gets, the crazier they are.
I think they've really distinguished themselves.
They have, yeah. Especially that dude who looks the other way when sexual assault occurs is just magic.
And then some people at the local level.
Yeah, that's really the mom and pop Republicans. Tell us about those folks.
I just think we have, maybe by 4 or 5 to 1, a much stronger bench of people.
Yeah, basically.
And I think we have the better ideas. I think we are now the party that's preserving the American way of life.
Yeah, that's what's happening. You're preserving the American way. How are you doing that? By not voting for things that pass. The bill passed. You didn't stop it. What are you preserving? If you didn't stop it, you should have voted for it because you knew it would contribute. If you really thought it was that damaging, you would have filibustered it and your entire group could have blocked it as best they could. They could have held it up in committee, all kinds of crazy stuff. You didn't because you knew you would benefit from the money, but you wanted to run on the fact that you voted against it and pat yourself on the back for the money coming to your district as if it was magic. It was just, I only voted for the money that was coming to our district.
And they're the party that for some reason has chosen to try to destroy it.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. The Democrats are trying to destroy the United States. That's why we're keeping the economy from capsizing and speeding up vaccination so we can hit herd immunity sooner. Yeah. That was it? That's it?
This is from Tyler Scaglione.
Tyler Scaglione.
And I'm confident I pronounced that right because Tyler Scaglione sounds like he's partially Italian-American. At least, maybe all, like me.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Were his parents cousins?
I'm 14 years old, says Tyler.
Oh, dear.
My question is...
If I was a year older and a Ukrainian girl... You know what? Next question. Let me...
You're a 14-year-old now. Do you...
What do you mean? Like a 14-year-old is writing into you?
Think that Joe Biden is making decisions as president? Or do you believe that there is a person, people, making these decisions for him, just pulling the puppet strings? Pezzonovante, Tyler. Pezzonovante is from The Godfather. You know, if you ever look at the cover of The Godfather, you know, both the movie and the book, you see those strings in a hand?
Yeah, it's one person guiding all the other people. They're not above The Godfather.
So the idea was that one of the reasons that they chose as a course of action crime is because everything else was cut off to them and they didn't want to be puppets on a string. And it's said at a very, very important moment in Godfather 1, Michael to his father, when the Godfather says to his son, I didn't want this for you. I didn't want you to be, I wanted President Corleone, Senator Corleone, Governor Corleone. And he said, it was just not enough time. We'll get there, he says. And he says, I didn't want to be a pezzonovante. Didn't want to be a puppet on a string. So what do I think of President Biden's mental capacity, I guess, is what.
Yeah, a 14-year-old is asking a former mayor who lost every legal case he placed during the last election cycle and wanted to be paid $20,000 a day to do it. And his client lost every single case along with him.
What you're really asking, Tyler.
Yeah, please answer tell a 14-year-old that the man with the nuclear codes currently has dementia.
I'm very, very concerned about it.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know that I'd say about a president, pets on a vante or puppet on a string. And I'm not a doctor, so I can't conclude that. But I did interview somewhere in the middle of the campaign. I can't remember.
Yeah, somebody in the middle. Yeah, when we were really pushing this because Andre Derkash had told me, the Putin wants you guys to really hammer on the dementia angle.
Exactly what month it was, but the podcast is available. You can just go back and find it.
Oh, good Lord. They found it for you. Look at that. Way to go, Rudy. The staff is on it. You, whoever came through the glory hole, you chose well.
2 doctors who did extensive research on him in the sense of looking at his tapes over a period of years. And both of them came to the conclusion that he was mentally impaired. It was slightly different in terms of intensity. One thought it was worse than the other, and the same one thought it was getting bad very fast, because he went into the beginning of the campaign and where we were then, which I believe was around August, but I'm not sure. And by that, he looked at the beginning of the campaign in August of 2020, and he said, look at the deterioration in that period of time.
Yeah, I remember, it's a good look on your face, Rudy. I think I've chosen a good screen grab. You mean during August when Trump said stuff like,
we're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
He was really falling off right around
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
When he was saying stuff like
Yosemite, wildlife refuges. I mean, you look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife.
Yeah, so there was problems with Biden, you were saying?
So since then, with that knowledge, and there were about 5, maybe more, different doctors I consulted along with them.
Yeah, you went, how is it possible that Biden kicked Trump's ass in the debates live? What does it say about Trump's state of mind?
Who were afraid to come on.
Yeah, they were scared.
But had the same opinion that he had some form of significant mental deterioration that was progressive. We're just going to get worse. I don't know how you escape it, right? I mean, you just watch him, and there are some times that he seems more alive and alert than others. But there are some times in which he,
Rudy, let me give you a little piece of advice. If you're going to complain about somebody's mental state, don't search for words to describe it. Don't go. There's times when he's sharp as a tack, and other times when he's like, bad.
How to describe it? He just seems like he's not with us. And then he'll forget his defense secretary, or he'll say, "What am I doing here?" Or I've had experience with that illness, unfortunately, with relatives and friends.
Yes, they've had some sort of an intervention, I suppose.
So I know it pretty well, not like a doctor.
Rudy, the camera's the other direction.
It looks to me like he's got something that we should know about. I think particularly because of...
Yeah, it's called moxie, and he kicked your dude's ass.
A very intelligent question you ask. Who if he's not making the decisions, who is? Is it Pamela Harris? Is it...
Yeah, it's Pamela. I think it's Pamela Harris, more than likely. And of course, if Pamela Harris isn't aware that forgetting people's names and not knowing who they are, I mean, especially people in important offices in this country's government, and especially if you, I don't know, were involved in a campaign with that person for months and months and months, and but I mean, I don't know. I can't say personally. I think you would probably have to ask Pamela. First of all, before I make a total ass out of myself, does she have a sister? Pamela. What?
Susan Rice, as some people say? Is it his chief of staff?
Name his chief of staff. You mean Ron Klain? Name him. Name him. Pamela Klain?
This is our country, not his.
Well, obviously it's Susan Rice's country, you know, or Susan Korn. I always get them mixed up.
Not the Biden families.
No, it's Pamela Harris clearly running things.
We're entitled to know, since it is quite obvious that he is not capable of the full, at least the full decision-making that's needed by a president.
Yeah, what if Pamela Harris has to step in? Then where will we be as a country?
Otherwise, he wouldn't forget his Secretary of Defense. We should know who is making the decisions. But since he hasn't had a press conference, now we're up to about 50-plus days, and the press lets him get away with it.
Oh, it's terrible. They let him get away with it. It's terrible. He scheduled one, but okay.
Because of the double standard that exists, Tyler.
Why is there a double standard? What's the double standard? Trump had a bunch, and then he stopped. And everybody's like, why'd he stop? Biden hasn't had any because they've been dealing with these problems, and he scheduled his first one, and then we'll see going forward over the next couple of years what his regular schedule is as president. But Trump was literally coming out every day, and then when the shit really hit the fan, he just stopped having them. He stopped answering questions. He stopped going to the press, just had rallies.
Can't answer that question for you. I do think that's something we got to work on, though. This country will never come together in the terms of the unity that he hypocritically talks about.
Yeah, he hypocritically talks about it. Why won't he get the Republicans to vote?
Until we do away with that double standard.
Right. And who better to do that than Pamela Harris?
Until the press generally starts treating us.
When is Pamela Harris going to have her first press conference? When? Why? I mean, it's been 54 days, and Pamela Harris has not had one press conference?
Equally.
What kind of bullshit is this?
After all, you know, Democrats can do as much damage as Republicans.
Citation needed, because it certainly hasn't happened in the economies.
And sometimes parties have periods of time when they get more corrupt than the other party. And this is a time in which the Democrat Party, because it's been entitled by the press to do anything it wants, is out of control.
Yeah, it's nuts.
He's out of control.
He's out of control. He's just running around. He's pulling Pamela's weave out.
His family was out of control, taking all that money for all those years.
Where's the hard drive, dipshit? Please answer my question.
Pelosi is completely out of control. The press has got to do its role of asking what's wrong with you and who is advising you, so that we can, maybe they should have the press conference. Very intelligent question, Tyler, and one that really has to do with the good of our country.
No, it isn't. It means that he and his parents watch you all the time, and you've been filling his head with this bullshit.
Not just political parties. Well, let's take a little interruption now, and we'll be right back. I accomplished a lot in 2020, exposing the truth.
No, you
Trust.
didn't. Skip ahead.
That the people that stage faces right now, and that's from Jen. Well, Jen, I would say the biggest crisis right now is the deterioration of our freedom.
That's right. Yeah, I think so too. The deterioration of our freedom. What's happening to our freedom? It's just dying.
And the
let me guess, cancel culture, free press?
Unprecedented attack that the people in power have made on our freedoms for
the people in power.
At least a year and a half.
Yeah, it's been, yeah, I mean, that's when it's really gotten bad.
And when I say the people in power, I mean the upper leadership of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, the upper leader, like Mark Zuckerberg.
If you go back to, even just last year at this time, just look at the attack on freedom of religion.
The attack on the freedom of religion.
Churches closed.
So is that an attack on religion, or is that just on buildings and gatherings during a pandemic?
Strip joints open.
Churches closed, strip joints open. Maybe it's because we want to save people who go to church, and we don't give a shit if the people who go to strip clubs die. And were they all open during that time? I don't think so.
Courts have had to intervene.
To get the strip clubs closed, or get the strippers in church. What happened?
Why do they dislike churches so much?
They don't. They just know that the congregations of churches are older. It's much more dangerous.
Why do they go out of their minds if somebody says God?
They don't. Who's they? God.
And don't you know that that is the primary antagonist for Marx?
Oh, I see. So atheist, communist, commie-atheist. We're just going straight up. Grandpa's just hit a road bump in his thought process and his synapses. That asphalt was laid in 1983.
God. If you can get God out, then government becomes God. The minute government becomes God, we're talking about a different form of government than the one we have. In the United States Constitution, the government is not God.
Yeah, we know.
First comes God, then the people.
What? Oh, God comes and then the people? What? What? You're going to have to sit over by the glory hole if you're going to talk like this.
And then all the powers that the government derives come from us.
I thought it comes from God.
And our rights come from God.
Power of God. Okay. The power of Christ compels you. Got it. Okay.
It's a very healthy concept.
Is it? Here's the issue, is that who gets to pick who God is? Which God is it okay for me to worship and which God isn't it? Where does my religious belief end and your rights start?
To control power. Which also happens to be, I believe, the true one. But in any event, it's a healthy one. And even if you
pat a 15-year-old girl in the ass while she's helping you take your mic out, and then you lay back on the bed and stuff your hand down the front of your pants. I'm sorry, what?
Substitute nature for God, as those rights are just rights that come from natural law.
Pagans.
We start to talk about something much higher than government. And the Democrat Party has that concept and constitutional right under serious attack.
Why? How? Seriously. As a matter of fact, it would seem that they are more open to the diversity of religions that exist on the planet instead of unifying under one, which is, I think, what you're really arguing for.
And just look at the...
You're arguing a standard monotheistic line from 1952.
Court opinions. Same thing with freedom of movement and our very valued American individualism.
Our freedom of movement.
Look what they did to that during the pandemic.
Yeah, during a pandemic. Yeah. Look at the rights they took away from us during the hurricane. Couldn't even windsurf.
And then, okay, for the first month or two, maybe we didn't know exactly what we were facing. It was necessary.
And then we found out afterwards we knew exactly what we were facing, and it was worse.
The thing that really troubled me is how long people like Newsom and Cuomo and the one in Michigan, Whitmer, one in Illinois, how long they hung on to those powers. There almost seemed to be
a concern for their people,
enjoying a little bit of dictatorial power. You better wear your mask or we're going to put you in jail.
Nobody got put in jail for not wearing a mask.
Even though they're letting, they have district attorneys and the Democrats are letting criminals out, and crime is going up like crazy. Biggest increases in crime in some places in the country.
That's because it had bottomed out, and anybody being out and moving around raised crime?
In history, in New York in particular.
By the percentages, not by the actual numbers?
Biggest increase in homicide, biggest increase in shootings in New York, while...
they went to the biggest drop in homicides and biggest drop in shootings in New York at the beginning of the pandemic?
The two so-called progressive Democrats are letting thousands of people out of prison and trying to put people in prison for not wearing masks or having too many people in their home for their birthday celebration.
No, they were cited.
Doesn't sound like America to me. It
sounds like you made it up in your head.
Made serious inroads into our right to make individual decisions.
Yeah, you don't have a right to make an individual decision when you're endangering other people. If you want to own a flamethrower, for example, as an individual, and you want to be able to use that flamethrower on any tree you see, and you decide that since a tree is not alive and you want to use a flamethrower, you should be able to take your flamethrower and walk through the city, blazing any tree. And if there are people that are hit, that's their fault for being in the way, in between your right to blaze up a tree with your flamethrower. And then you decide, you know what? It's not the tree part, it's just wood in general. So any building that has any wood on it, I just feel like, I should have the freedom.
Comes out of a number of our constitutional rights. A right of free speech virtually destroyed during the election.
No, you had a show the entire time, and you're still on. You found other sources, but other companies enacted their free speech rights to not carry your bullshit.
When the hard drive came out.
The hard drive never came out.
Being one of the people who had it.
One of the people who had it. You're the only person who has it.
It was actually given to me.
No, you paid for it.
The censorship was unprecedented and appalling.
Why? Oh, right, because you wouldn't give it to anyone. The New York Post asked for more of it. You gave them 6 sheets of paper.
And the American people.
Why wouldn't you give them the whole thing? Why wouldn't you let them do a forensic audit of the entire hard drive, Rudy? Why are you censoring the hard drive?
Didn't get the information they needed about the long history of criminality of the Biden crime family. 30 years of taking money.
Because somebody, somewhere was stopping that evidence from being seen by the American people. Somebody who had it, but wouldn't share it. Who showed little pieces of it, but just enough to make people think he knew what he was talking about, and then so he could hide the rest.
It's on record. Hunter Biden says that he gave.
He's going to quote the same fucking texts. Gigabytes of information supposedly on this hard drive. And what he's going to do, he's going to quote the same 3 pieces of paper he printed out that Andre Durkhash gave him. Durkhash sold him the hard drive for $5 million. The asking price was 3. Rudy paid more.
Gave his father for 30 years half of what he earned. Yes, he says that, not me. But I get attacked for it.
Yeah, you get attacked because you're lying and you're making it up and you're furthering Russian disinfo with a bunch of crap. And you gave that hard drive to the FBI. They did their forensic audit on it, apparently, and went, this is bullshit, and threw it away. Not because they're bad people, but because you were obviously given a fake.
Joe Biden said it and did it.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You have printouts of green balloons that say that. I haven't seen the metadata. Nobody has, Rudy. You wouldn't release it. Why am I supposed to believe? Who can't clip art and Photoshop fake text messages on a page? Seriously.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, well, I know you didn't do it. You can barely open your phone without help.
I didn't say
it. Yeah, you did say it.
Only if you read the New York Post.
You would see the 6 pages that you gave them, and when you asked them, they asked you for more of it, you wouldn't?
Would you know that, which was actually taken off some of the internet?
Yeah, but it wasn't taken off the New York Post. You can still read it. The newspaper wasn't interfered with. The government didn't do anything.
Unheard of in American history. And then after the election.
Oh, no. Definitely heard of. I'll give you a good example. The Unabomber Manifesto. Rudy, why did all those newspapers choose to attack his freedom of speech by not posting his manifesto? Why?
I mean, you got to be careful how we discuss the election with you. Otherwise, they'll
what, Rudy? They'll not carry your message for you for free to their audience on their website?
Take your voice away.
Rudy, no one can take your voice away. But no one owes you a microphone. Honest to God, he bitches about socialism nonstop, and then wants the government to intervene so private companies post his bullshit?
And at a particular time where we're debating election reform, that's a terrible thing to do to our country. So that the attack on free speech is enormous.
There's no attack on free speech. The companies themselves have free speech.
By the Democrat Party, their allied big tech, Silicon Valley. Their allied big business, particularly those who do business with China.
Oh yeah, like Walmart, you mean, who's responsible for half of our trade deficit with China? Oh no, I'm sorry. Who do they support in elections? Is it Democrats?
They are almost obescent.
Obescent. Yeah, they're obescent. But please tell me again about words that Biden has a problem with. Yeah. By the way, it's my stepmother's cup. I just thought you guys might enjoy it. I'm not perfect, but I am Norwegian, and that's kind of the same thing.
Obsession, rather, with China.
Yeah, they're Hold on, back up.
Obsession, rather, with China.
They have an obsession with China, do they? I'm sorry, our side doesn't talk about them all the goddamn time.
All those things lead to significant, more than ever before, deprivation of freedom of speech for anybody that doesn't agree with them. They don't just disagree with you. They don't debate with you. They try to have you fired. They try to have your living taken away. They try to hurt your family. And they try to hurt you.
In that order? Or because I just need to know the next time because I missed the last cancel culture meeting. And I thought really it was just about critiquing you to the point where if your company goes, you're not good for us anymore because you're a nutcase and you're spreading dangerous disinformation and trying to destroy the very country that protects our company's existence, you might not be the best person to represent our company in that regard.
It's a very, very big crisis, my friend.
Oh, yeah? Would you, and this is a curious question, I know cancel culture is very dangerous. Would you consider the noose on the Capitol lawn and the calls to shoot Mike Pence cancel culture? Does that qualify? I'm curious.
Friend, very, very big crisis. And
yet there's tons of conservatives still all over Twitter, and they manage to stay on because they don't either push the big lie or ask for violence to protect it.
Jen, it makes me very sad. And we have got to, and I won't even say the word fight against it, because somebody will accuse me of trying to spur some. I don't.
Sorry, and Biden has a hard time forming thoughts? There's a quick deterioration in how he communicates in what now? Rudy, this is your show. You could have answered each of these questions individually, gotten your answer together, and instead of just prattling on.
I don't want any violence. I don't think violence accomplishes anything.
Well, it didn't, so now you got to backtrack from it.
But I do want to see, or people who agree with us.
Yeah, that might be your problem. There's a lot fewer of those than you think.
I want to see them step forward and make it clear we're not going to accept this.
So you want them to be a defensive line first. Then what happens if we go, well, you kind of have to because you're in the minority and your guys lost. We're in a democracy and that's how it works. Well, you think I'm just going to stand here and take it? Well, yeah, I mean, I thought that's what he told you to do. Well, no, that's why we brought guns. Oh, I see.
And we're going to fight back at the ballot box.
Yes, you are. Please fight back at the ballot box.
We're going to organize this Republican Party unlike it's ever been organized before.
Well, that's kind of a low bar.
And if they continue to do it, we're going to throw them out of office. That's the power that we have.
Yes, please throw out all the Republicans who aren't doing things exactly the way you think they should be done, Rudy.
And whenever you hear me talk, that's what I'm talking about. Don't let them
say when you said trial by combat to a bunch of people who are about to march up to the Capitol and enact violence upon the place, that's what you're doing. You're trying to cover your ass so you can show these podcasts in your trial.
Try to distort and demonize us, those who believe in the Constitution, those who believe that our history is a great history.
Well, see, I'm not demonizing people like that. I'm mocking you. I don't consider you to be one of those people. I think you use patriotism and Christianity like a bat.
Things that had to be corrected. Those of us who revere the flag and stand for the national anthem and get goosebumps when
a 15-year-old Ukrainian girl walks by and her hair flips in the wind.
When we see the flag go by in a parade. It's all good. Those are all good things.
Which flag are we talking about? Just to clarify.
Don't let the Marxist left demonize people like that.
Yeah, all four of them. They all live in Portland. Don't let them do that to you.
Those are the people who fight and die to give us the country that we have today. Not them.
Wait, you don't think there are any Democrats in the military?
Is from Bill Hurt.
Why is he dressed like Lou Holtz? This is his relax. This is episode 120. He's kicking it.
And a good question to follow Jen's.
I hope so.
Do you still think America is the greatest country on earth? Well, after what I just said, do I think America? Of course I do. Because I just got to be able to say that. So far, they haven't taken away that right from me. Not only that, I have the right to work for that. I have the right to, correct interpretation, now fight for that.
Literally. This is what happens when Rudy runs up against the limits of his own vocabulary.
At the ballot box.
What ballot box? I don't think we have free and fair elections. If you told us all during this thing that if we let this stand and Biden ends up getting, sworn in, then it'll be over. And by the time the next election comes, there won't be any election. So how are you going to fight at the ballot box if you think it's all over? Oh, right.
Somewhat limited in my being able to fight for it with my words.
Because you don't have that many, and the ones you do, you don't. I mean, that's not fair. I mean, obviously you have a better vocabulary than, I don't know, someone like Pamela Harris.
Because they are now censored. Or if I say some of the things that
I would censor you just for moving around in that leather chair, you farty old bastard.
Would normally say, they'll take you off one of the platforms, or like they did to the president, take away 85 million people.
Well, no. Peoples? Yes, Rudy, please tell me again about Biden's stutter. 85 million people. 60 million people and 25 million bots, let's be honest.
That is a frightening thing.
Why? Why? That the law and terms of service, in terms of usage of something, applies to everyone. And Trump, by the way, while he was president, could break those rules all he wanted while he was president of the United States. But once he stopped being president, he lost his rights. I see.
President of the United States, I think, had 85 million followers on Twitter.
Yeah. 60 million people, 25 million bots.
85 million.
60 million people, 25 million bots.
That's a lot of followers. That's a lot of the country.
Yeah, but it's also, tell me that all those people actually want to hear what he's saying and not are keeping track of what he's saying.
That wanted to hear his voice, either to agree, disagree, or find out what he had to say.
Right, because when he was president, it mattered. But once he was not, he was voted out, it doesn't matter as much.
And in one fell swoop, a single man.
A single man. Jack Dorsey rode in on his horse and put a spear through the heart.
Who must have some kind of complex inside him.
What? Is there a lurching complex? Do people have that? Is that going around? I hope it's not catching.
Sad one. Certainly.
Is it? You mean that complex that makes him take months and months and months to kick somebody off the platform after they egregiously violate the terms of service over and over and over? Oh, thank you, Diana.
My un-American instinct just cuts him off.
It's not un-American. As owner of the company and as a representative of the company that has to create standards by which the website continues to grow and remains a safe space for everybody to do business and talk, because you don't want it overrun with child pornographers and white supremacists and violent hate groups and Hezbollah and ISIS posting whatever they want. They obviously have standards where not everybody can be on there. And they obviously bent that rule as far as they could with Trump until they decided to kick him off.
I didn't think that could happen in America. and it shouldn't. And it has to be changed.
Why? So companies, okay, Rudy, if you're going to tell me that companies, private companies, do not have the right of free speech, and that's the argument you want to make, let's make it, buddy. You and me. Let's go into court and say that because companies cannot have, do not have the rights that humans have, they are not people, according to Rudy Giuliani. They're not, gods effectively made out of, paper and steel and glass buildings. That they don't qualify as individuals, and therefore they don't have these God-given rights that humans do, and therefore Rudy wants it to be that companies cannot violate the rights of other people, and that they do not have those rights themselves. Therefore, companies do not have the right of free speech. You can't kick somebody off your platform for saying stuff you don't want said on your platform. That's violating their free speech rights. You have none yourself. Rudy, please go into court somewhere and make the argument that corporations do not have the right of free speech. And then I want to watch you get sued by Fox News because now they can't use the phrase fair and balanced because it's a lie, and they can be called out for it. And Coca-Cola will have to say, we sell brown sugar water. That's all. Everything will become generic, and that's it.
I hate to break up this question and answer session.
It's invigorating. I've learned so much. It's not a dull rehashing of your same bullshit at all. This isn't anything like those old sitcom episodes where they've run out of material and they have remember when Rose went camping and then they show a sketch, a piece from the camping episode?
It's so interesting, but
it is.
We have to take a short break.
We do. We got to sell some cigars.
My friends, if you want
to live in one sweater for the rest of your life, all right, this is the same.
But the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Rudy.
Well, Rudy. He always does that when I'm done. I've said all that I need to do to make money, and now I can make the money.
Welcome back.
That was a shitty edit. Welcome back.
Why do politicians on both sides spend more time on TV and in interviews than actually working? John Baumgarten.
John, you're dumb, and you see someone on TV maybe twice a week for a minute or so, or you see former governors, former representatives on TV, and you think in your head that means someone isn't doing that job?
John, that's a very good observation because a lot of politicians, particularly those who are in it too long, forget why they're in it.
I've forgotten why I'm in this show.
They forget that they're in it to do good for people. They forget that they should stick with unpopular decisions if they believe in them and not just flip around and change. They don't want to be a Joe Biden who, used to be firmly opposed to public money for abortion for 47 years. And AOC looked at him and said, change your mind. He said, okay.
No, he didn't. The Hyde Amendment it made available another option besides the federal money. So there was a gap where the pro-lifers could fit because we would support these structures, but the Hyde Amendment would mean that none of the money went directly to it, but it still would find other funding for helping people find out how to get that if they needed it and the like or whatever. The minute the Republicans stopped living in the good faith of the Hyde Amendment stopped being useful, and therefore it can go. It had nothing to do with AOC. It has to do with everything with the Republicans violating that rule, trying to eliminate the protections that the Hyde Amendment gave.
They don't want to be you shouldn't want to be a Joe Biden. That's a very bad model.
Really? The President of the United States? The guy who got the most votes in American history? The guy who beat your guy by 8 million votes? The guy who survived the death of his daughter and his first wife and his son by being closer to his family? That helped his son through addiction? No, we should want to be a Rudy Giuliani who last fall was in a movie, not because he's an actor or he's got any worth as a performer, but because he was caught on tape trying to touch the ass of a woman he thought was 15 years old and sticking his hand down his pants to try and get her to play with his dick. Rudy, tell us who we should be. Please, be our moral compass, Rudy.
You shouldn't have a family that made millions while you were in public office.
So, I'm sorry, how much did Ivanka and Jared and Don Jr. and Eric make while Trump was in office? You shouldn't have. So Rudy, you're suggesting we lock up Trump's entire family. Well, damn it, now you got me.
I mean, millions and millions and millions, not just millions.
Oh, yeah. So not quite tens of millions? Like, that's 9 million, right? Millions is 3. We can all agree on that. Because if it was 2, you'd say a couple million. But if it's, 3 to 5, you'll say millions. But if it clears that 3 threshold, then you're going millions and millions and millions. You said it 3 times. You haven't said tens of millions or $10 million, so obviously it's below that. All right. I'm not doing Rudy math.
You shouldn't be somebody that has other people running things for you.
Really, Rudy? I'm sorry. You shouldn't be a person who... You don't actually think we think you edit this show and put it together, do you? You're going to tell us, Rudy, that you made the graphics up in the corners, that you made that little Rudy's Common Sense thing? You put that together? Rudy, did you compile this list? Did you choose these? Did your son go through and help root out some of the... Yeah. You shouldn't have people do things for you?
And you should take the risk of getting thrown out of office if you have to make a tough decision. I remember when I was mayor, I sometimes made very, very tough decisions.
Uh-huh.
That were really unpopular.
Uh-huh. Hey, representative government, what are you going to do?
And I thought, particularly the first...
Thank you, Hal Vickery.
...term that I was mayor, that
Congratulations, I'm glad you got your shot.
I wasn't going to get reelected, but one of my close advisors, and in some ways what's called my mentor, Arnie Burns, used to say to me, I think he told me this right after I got elected.
Yeah, probably. He probably did. He probably sent you a Post-it note on a bundt cake.
He said, you're going in a Democratic city with a Republican mayor, only the third one in this century, and they're not going to like what you do, and you know what to do. You know what you have to do, and you may not get reelected, but then you can be very proud of yourself. I said, Arnie, that's the best advice I've ever gotten, and I'm going to govern that way. And for the first year...
So you had somebody pulling the strings, is what you're saying? You didn't come up with that on your own? So somebody else was behind you, whispering in your ear, like you had a whole other plan, and somebody kind of AOC'd right in your ear and went, you should do unpopular stuff. And if you don't get reelected, no big deal, because you'll do what you want to do. You know what, I'm going to do that. That never occurred to you on your own? In your road to becoming mayor, it never occurred to you to govern the way you'd been elected to govern, and based on your own principles because you'd gotten the office? That didn't...
Year and a half I was in office. You go look, I wasn't going to get reelected. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
I was very unpopular.
Yes, it's a lot to be proud of.
Because
obviously, now you're beloved.
Things that I had to do to control record levels of crime, massive deficits, 1 million plus people on welfare.
Mm-hmm. By the way, crime went down because of lead gasoline being taken out of the general usage in America 20 years before, like everywhere else.
Tremendous unemployment, had to make cuts, had to get much, much more focused on crime.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, black crime.
God was good. Things turned around, and I got reelected by 18%, which was a shock.
I didn't even want to do it anymore. I was sent in to do the mafia's job, and then...
Times even endorsed me. That's the only good editorial they ever wrote. But I followed that
So, just so you know, the news is trustworthy when they like you. Okay, good.
Principle in politics. And maybe if I didn't, I could have gone for it. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm proud of it. And I urge it on you. And I urge you to look for that in political people, Republican or Democrat. I respect Democrats who stick with their principles, even though I disagree with them. I don't respect the ones who are flipping to these woke concepts that they know are totally without common sense.
So you like the ones that didn't flip to it, that are totally committed to those things, but they didn't flip to them. They're just in it to, like, you believe in, Camilla Jayapal and AOC and Bernie and stuff. Like, you think those people are respectable and because they stick to their ideas. But the people who listen to them and incorporate the good of what they like and toss out whatever they don't work with in the mediation of democracy, that's the part that bothers you.
Come on. Letting people send in mail-in ballots and not have to sign them?
You don't sign ballots. You sign the envelope.
That's an invitation to cheat, right?
No one sent in ballots that they didn't have to sign. No one sent in envelopes that they didn't have to sign. You had to sign the envelope. What he's talking about is that there didn't have to be a notary there with you while you sign your ballot with your signature. Thanks, Rudy. I mean, basically, that's all I needed.
Do we have a military available so we could protect our country from the disaster and dangerous policies that Biden is initiating, especially at the border? Jen Wagner.
Yeah, Jen Wagner wants to know if there really is martial law right now. Jen's going to be a Q.
The answer to that is yes, we do. And what Biden is doing at the border troubles me greatly because...
yeah, you guys used to just... I mean, you were a big fan of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump's thing of dumping children over the Mexican border into Juarez, right?
The numbers are completely out of control.
No, they're not completely out of control. There's 9,600 unaccompanied minors at the border. That's a lot of kids. It really is. Is it completely out of control? There's 340 million people in... I mean, it's not like they came for Black Friday and ended up being all dropped off at the same mall wanting the same doll.
And not only that, it allows very, very dangerous people to come into this country.
Yeah. The unaccompanied minors are the worst. You know what I mean? Because they're all like, they're itching to join MS-13. They'll kill anybody. There's a 9-year-old I saw in one of these interviews, hard as nails, face tattoos. I'm kidding.
And I just want to take a moment to
be gross.
To clarify this, because I'm in favor of immigration. I think it's one of the secrets to America's greatness, in addition to our Constitution.
It's not really a secret. I mean,
in our
especially in America, I think it's definitely not a secret.
Ability to self-correct.
Oh, thank you, Can't Stop Lying. Yes. Are we choppy? Is it all right? Am I cooking?
This is not a growing country with, unlimited amounts of land, and there has to be...
Yeah, there's got to be a cork we can put in this, right, Rudy? We should, pull the ladder up behind us.
A limit on who comes in.
There is. There's a limit.
Otherwise, the whole world would come in.
Well, no. If the whole world would come in, then they would form their own democracies, and they wouldn't have to come in. If everybody... All right.
It's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. Rudy, all these brown people coming in.
To the whole world, not to have some limits on that.
Yeah, I mean, the world will run out of its own citizens. Not only will we fill up, but they'll be empty.
If you say, well...
Rudy's a country's half-empty kind of a guy.
We should take everyone who is impoverished in the United States. Well, that's half the world.
Nobody's saying that.
And if we announced that, half the world would come here. So we have to have rational...
So all the rich people would live in another country? Is that so they're sending us their poor, they're huddled, they're... All right.
Limits. In the age of CCP virus, we should understand that we have to know who's coming in.
Yeah, we do. That's why we needed to surge to the border, as Biden said, to have people going through these cases and seeing who's a legit asylum seeker and who's simply an economic migrant who could get a green card versus who needs to be ejected. It takes resources.
So when you see those people those large numbers coming over the border.
You don't.
I'm not attacking them. I'm not saying that they're bad people. A lot of them are people that are just coming into work and feed their families.
Uh-huh.
A lot of them are not bad people. They're good people.
So, but you have a problem with them being vetted and those seeking asylum being allowed in and those seeking migrant status to be pushed out. That's the problem you have. You just want everybody dumped.
But they are violating the law.
Really? With your client?
And what they're doing is they're giving an opportunity for very bad people to come in. Because
yeah, that's the worst thing. These little kids are just cover for gang members. That's what they're really doing.
In that large group, and in a country like Mexico that's governed by cartels, not the government, the cartels can
I don't know why anybody'd want to leave.
Insert whomever and whatever they want. And the Democrat Party is so unconcerned with the good of this country that they like all those numbers coming in. They know what I'm saying.
Do they? So, because I'm having a hard time following it, honestly. Rudy, are you saying the Democrats want the MS-13 gang members and the Iranian terrorists and stuff like that the cartels want to sneak into the country dressed as 9-year-olds to come in because we hate the country? Or are you just saying we don't care? No, he's saying we hate the country.
They know that the cartels put drug dealers and murderers and rapers and children that are going to be abused.
Why are they on that list? And children that are going to be abused. Yeah, we know. What's your suggestion of what we do with the children that are going to be abused, Rudy? Honestly, that's who we have. That's what a bunch of these kids are. So these children are coming in that are going to be abused. Is your idea that Mexican and South American children inherently are evil, and therefore, because coyotes brought them, even though they're unaccompanied, they're by themselves, they have no one, it is a violation of our national sovereignty and safety if they're allowed to stay. So these unaccompanied children shouldn't be vetted and returned to their home countries so they can be placed back with their families in cooperation with the countries, which takes time, effort, focus, energy, money, and a desire to do so. No, we should just a wall. Just a wall, so that when these kids arrive, they go nowhere.
And fentanyl from China.
That comes in through the mail and through ports.
And they do things with terrorist groups to make money. They know everything I'm saying.
Thank you, Bronwyn.
That's stupid. But instead, they'd rather have those big numbers coming over because they want them to vote Democrat, which is why they're trying to pass a bill that allows illegal immigrants to vote.
No, they're not. No, they aren't. Which bill is he talking about? He keeps bringing this up, and I can't find it anywhere. It's not in H.R. 1.
We've got to get control of the border. You're right.
Thank you. Thank you for not acknowledging that I'm right.
Not our military, really. This is really a function of the Department of Homeland Security, our domestic law enforcement, our Drug Enforcement Administration. They're quite capable of controlling it. President Trump demonstrated that.
Well, they weren't controlling it. They were just dumping people.
Do the asylum proceedings on the other side of the border. What do you change that for, Biden? Why? Isn't that stupid?
No.
Isn't that dangerous to our country?
No, because you still do that, part of those things on that side, but it's the people that have gotten through that you're dealing with.
How is it that...
So if somebody gets through, this is his argument, by the way, this is the whole back to the essential concept that if you come into the country, that's enough of a law that means you can never be a citizen because you crossed the border illegally. Even if you grow up as a child here, if you came across illegally, that's one of the crimes that can default make you not be able to become a citizen. Rudy is for that. So any of these children that end up staying here with relatives and being raised by them or being adopted or any of that other stuff, those children will grow up here. Now, I don't know why inherently he believes they will vote Democrat in 10 years when they can vote.
100,000 people came in your first 4 weeks. Not because of you and what you said during the campaign about everybody's going to become a citizen, you're going to get free health care.
Did he say that? I'm sorry, can you play a clip, Rudy? Did he say everybody's going to get free health care?
It's not because of you and your party. You're announcing to the world we're going to give you free.
And why in the world? Oh my gosh. Nice. Well done. Does anybody know why he's talking to Biden all of a sudden?
Healthcare, and we get people coming over the border in record numbers. You do away with sensible policies just because they came from Donald Trump to protect us.
Are they protecting us from 9,600 unaccompanied minors? It's a really odd argument, because the crisis at the border is not one of adults and asylum seekers that are packing the place. It's the children. It really is. Like, that's the big extra number, because everybody else is, just like any other surges we've had, they turn them back in mass. And then some people who claim asylum get an adjudication process, and then they can be sent over the border to wait it out, or they can come into if they have family here already that is witness to this and are citizens, they can make a case that we are citizens. We want our family to be able to leave and come here for their own safety. But that's not the biggest number. The biggest number is the children, and how the quote-unquote crisis or challenge at the border is the children. And Rudy's argument is dump them in Mexico.
Then if you want
because it's dangerous for us.
Really worry about where our military is concerned, then worry about Iran, short-term threat. The regime of terror is monstrous. It is a tremendous risk to the United States. It has killed many, many Americans. Luckily, fortunately, President Trump, who had a very different view, putting America first, got rid of the guy who orchestrated a lot of that, Soleimani, which Biden opposed.
Yeah, the extrajudicial murder of a general while he was in a car in another country that we have control of. He didn't oppose the guy's death. Nobody would have blinked an eye if he'd have died of natural causes or his truck went off a cliff. But it was because Trump ordered a specific strike against the guy when he wasn't in process of doing anything, when we weren't actually at war with Iran. This isn't even like al-Awlaki, where he was working with ISIS, and we've been against ISIS this whole time.
And looks like Biden is, groveling all over the place to put back that ridiculous agreement and to give money to Iran.
Why would we give money to Iran? What money are we giving? The money we gave them was theirs. It's gone. We're not giving them aid.
So Iran uses half of its money to kill people. Its own.
And then the other half it uses to let its people die of COVID, apparently?
People and other people. The long-term threat, of course, is China.
Totally.
And that one we'll have a lot to say about over the next year. And
yeah, I mean, that's basically going to be the rest. That's show 121 through 190.
And we really have to raise with that all the money that the Bidens got from China, because it's an unseemly, disgusting amount of money.
Yeah, that you wish you had.
From a country that is devoted to godless communism.
Is it? Have you ever been to one of the temples there? I've been to many of them.
Killing young babies.
No. Yeah, if you're talking about the one-child policy, that's over.
Female babies.
Yeah, during the one-child policy, the government didn't order the killing of female babies. The idea that you could only have one kid and the only people who could get any work or it was safe to have was a boy, so a lot of families did that.
Putting millions of people in what are concentration camps or...
Yes, the Uyghurs, and Trump didn't care either way.
Prisons. Taking money in those numbers from a country like that? And you practice censorship?
By the way, the normalization of relations with China and the fact that China entered into the World Trade Organization and got the status that it did, that he complains that Biden got all the time, directly led to the removal of the one-child policy. You could argue that that particular act, which Biden touted, and they play videos of him touting all the time, and I want people to listen to me on this. This is kind of crucial. They constantly badger Biden about standing there and saying it's a big deal when China finally became part of the international economy, and when they got the trade status that they did, and when they got all the help they got from the rest of the world. That action, within a generation, led to the removal of the one-child policy, meaning that that single act was responsible for the elimination of more abortions in probably 5 years than have ever occurred in modern America.
Media to hide that from the American
1.2 billion people, that's a lot of babies being made, and they're not killing half of them.
people when he's running for office. Got to change that. Before I get to the last question, let me just
yeah, don't go to that last question.
Expand on one thing I said earlier. I'm going to
yeah, nice edit, by the way, Rudy. I know it's not as bad, of course, as the edits that they put in the Biden interview, but still.
tell you another reason why I'm very hopeful.
Okay, good.
And I see
those are hopeful eyes.
See a lot of good coming out of these difficult times that we have.
Uh-huh.
Not only do I like the
money that Trump is making off of his sucker base by pretending he's still got a shot,
the younger people coming along in the Republican Party, and I see a lot more
neo-Nazis,
really
racist,
significantly
racist,
good candidates, and
wow, just the grasp of language this man has. It's like a thesaurus with a bald spot.
Intelligent, charismatic.
Yeah, one more word.
But I like the way President Trump has reorganized, realigned, in essence, the Republican Party.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it was so weird as a functioning party.
So when I was young, I mean...
I'm sorry. Was that ever true?
This was always a simplistic overstatement. The Republican Party was the party of the rich, and the Democratic Party was the party of the poor.
Uh-huh. And?
The working people.
Uh-huh.
Boy, has that changed, huh?
Huh?
So where did the rich go in the last two elections with Hillary and... Because, unfortunately, a lot of the rich only care about making money, greed, doing business with China.
You mean like Trump? Sure.
They never... I mean, that comes ahead of the United States.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much Trump in a nutshell.
So you basically have the Democrat Party.
Basically.
The leadership of it.
Uh-huh.
A significant amount of corruption has crept in there.
How?
Much more than on the other side, largely because of the entitlement the media gives them to do anything they want.
I see. Without
revelation or without criticism or without being hounded. And they treat Republicans, as capital criminals if they have a traffic violation.
I see. So we kill Republicans if they get a speeding ticket. But, I mean, this is the facts.
That's a big part of the problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem
that we face right now.
I know, it's especially if you're driving, drunk with Nestor in the car.
In the division that we have.
And if you're Lauren Boebert and you're drunk and you have a child without a child seat, multiple children in your car and you're speeding.
But I mean, basically the supporters of the Democrat Party are big business, Wall Street.
Are they? Really?
All of Silicon Valley.
I'm sorry, who got a $27 million check 3 weeks before the election? Was it Biden?
Big business, gigantic business, right?
Yeah, big business, big. I mean, obviously not Overstock.
Hollywood, wealthy people, entitled wealthy people, celebrities. Right?
Yeah, they're the worst. I know. Actors, please.
And a number of these people have been around forever and made a fortune while in politics, like Pelosi and Biden.
So they're paying for their own campaigns. That's weird. You would have thought Trump would have done that.
On our side, we have the deplorables.
That's not nice.
And we embrace it, right? I'm a deplorable.
No, you're not. Well, you are deplorable. You're not a deplorable.
I'm proud of it. We have the people who...
Yeah, explain what a deplorable is, Rudy.
Are completely turned off by the way our government has operated over the last number of years, except for the short time of Trump.
Yeah, you just hated all the Bush years. You were crapping all over him. I remember that. Who doesn't remember that? You hated Bush 1. You hated Reagan.
We have the people who feel they haven't been represented.
Right, all the non-Kenyan black people.
In the group of lobbyists and people who have tremendous influence in Washington.
Oh, Wayne LaPierre. I know who you're talking about.
So turned around. We're the party of the working people and the poor.
Based on what?
They're the party of the rich. And also, President Trump got 4 years to show how much better he could do for poor people. Record numbers of employment for African Americans, record numbers of employment for Hispanics. And
I mean, we've seen this before. The gap never narrowed. It never narrowed. If you're going to say you're helping a group in particular, here's the unemployment for white people. Here's the unemployment for black people. Here's the employment for Hispanic people. Here's the unemployment for Asian people. Actually, it's the other way around. This would be Hispanic. This would be black. This would be Asian. Here's the white, right? And they went just like that. And when they went down like this. And they went. They're broader than this, by the way. They're a little bit more like that. And they went down like this. And when they ended up like that, it never happened that these got closer to this one, where they all went together or they were all the same line. Never even approached it. Stayed exactly where they were. And during Trump's years, the black and Hispanic unemployment, while it maintained at a lower rate, started to drift. As it went down, white unemployment went down further than it did. You see how that works?
Other people that might be impossible.
By the way, the problem with the black community and the Hispanic community and to some degree the Native community isn't so much the idea that they can't be employed, that there aren't jobs, however menial or low paying, for them to do. It's that they are unable in a lot of areas to start their own business because there's no capital for them. They can't buy a house. There's all kinds of aspects of that, which even the Bush administration admitted with home buying and stuff. It just went about it the wrong way. But getting a menial job, getting a job at Wendy's or Taco Bell is not like something to pat yourself on the back for when you're not even willing to attempt to raise the minimum wage, right? You have to give people investment opportunities, ways to grow the community. Otherwise, you're just guaranteeing that, yeah, you guys will have plenty of jobs, sweeping floors, flipping burgers. You're never going to be able to start your own business. Oh, no.
Impoverished. Not all Hispanics and African Americans are impoverished by any means.
Oh, well, then I don't know what we're worrying about.
That's a fiction of the left.
Yeah, it's totally a fiction. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know where I get the idea that they have less wealth and savings and upward mobility. I don't know where I got that from. I got to stop reading the Bureau of Labor Statistics website.
But I mean, if you look at that category,
yeah,
that kind of progress had never been made before with the phony promises of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, it had. Yeah, it had. You don't go from whatever 4% to 3.5% to 3.12% if somebody else hadn't got you from 11% down to the 4. Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's happening right now. The group that did the worst in the first month and a half of the Biden administration is the African American community.
I'm sorry, black people did the worst in the first month and a half.
In terms of jobs coming back.
Yeah. Let's see. Do the jobs in your first 90 days of the presidency have to do with your policies or?
So it's complete realignment.
It totally is.
We're the party of the outsiders. They're the party of the elite.
Well, no. Obviously, you're the part of the outsiders because you got voted out.
I like that.
Do you? Well, good. Stay outside. I know it's raining. Fill your galoshes. Bye.
It just makes me...
look like a flan in a sweater?
Feel like there's a lot more there's a lot more idealism. There's a lot more reform, enthusiasm, maybe a better understanding of our way of life than they have on the other side, where in the name of greed or power.
Yeah, it's the greedy socialists. Well, honest to God, which is it? Don't you have to pick a side?
They're giving away a lot.
Well, yeah, obviously, Obama phones, $1,400 checks. It's a free-for-all over there.
Of the pillars of our democracy.
Oh, the pillars, right. They gave away the pillars, too. My pillar? They didn't give my pillar away, did they?
A lot of free speech, a lot of freedom of religion,
a lot of it? Just, yeah, like 80%. 80%.
Individual decision-making going to the government.
How is individual decision? All right.
And a tremendous amount of money.
Money.
Moving from the private sector to the much more wasteful government sector. So I like that position. The last question.
What? So how is a lot more money going to the public sector? All right.
Is a good question, because it'll lead into my next episode.
Oh, good. Well, who could have put? It's almost like someone else planned that for you, Rudy.
Can H.R. 1 actually overturn the Constitution? From Audrey Hendry.
Can H.R. 1 actually overturn the Constitution? Well, it doesn't seek to, so it might be difficult.
Well, Audrey, the answer is...
It's pronounced Audrey. There's an R in the end of it, not in the beginning.
No. It can't overturn the Constitution. Nothing can overturn the Constitution. That's why we have the Supreme Court. And my next episode is going to be going into some detail on what H.R. 1 does to our election system.
Great. Yeah, break it down, Rudy.
How it is almost a textbook in cheating. And finally...
Cool. I can't wait, because I've actually read it.
How much of it is unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
So
who underlined that part for you? Honestly, did you not get my question? I guess you didn't.
These questions were excellent. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to get to all of them.
Oh, you're sorry. I'm sorry you didn't. I think my next episode about your next episode is going to include my questions you didn't answer.
We'll do this regularly.
Oh, God, no.
So keep sending in questions.
No.
I found this very, very challenging and very interesting.
Why would it be challenging? They were all kiss-ass questions that assumed you were right from the jump.
And I hope you did too. And
no, I didn't. We'll all never get this time back. But it was fun, enjoying ourselves at your expense, dipshit.
Any further questions, just go to the website, rudyscommonsense.com.
It's pretty sure that's not the website. I think it's rudygiulianics.com. Is there also rudyscommonsense.com? I may have to look this up. I don't think so, though.
And we'll insert them in the program, or we'll...
Ew. Don't insert them in the program.
We'll answer them on the website.
Yeah. Mine will probably get answered on the website.
And thank you very, very much. It was
a
very interesting question and answer period.
If he does say so his damn self.
Thanks for participating in it.
I didn't participate. I sent my question in. Was it all the swearing? Is that why you didn't use my question?
God bless you, and of course, God bless America.
What do you mean, of course? What do you mean, of course? You don't say it at the end of every show. And why are you saying it now? Oh, God. Over. Thank you. Good Lord. That was hideous. Thanks for joining me. And I appreciate you guys understanding that I pushed the time later. I'm going to try and have my show at the regular time tomorrow. Fingers crossed. We should be okay. It's around dinner time here, so that's what makes it, and so it's harder for me to go later without maybe I'll push it up earlier tomorrow. That might actually help. But either way, thank you guys for joining me, and we will continue to break it down. I've got so much backed up stuff that I didn't get to Rude D Common Sense. I think he has syphilis. Yay! I'm out of sync. Oh no. That might happen. It's hard to say. Internet here is going to be a little funky. But it is a family vacation. Tomorrow's, Friday. We're going to do a little bit of errands in the morning with mom and the kid. It's going to be a good time. And then I'll do the radio show regular on Saturday for sure at the regular timing because we kind of gotta. And then I go back to Vegas on Sunday. So I might have a pickup episode late at night on Sunday to try to get back online or something like that. But either way, thanks guys so much. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Hayes, and thank you, Medina, and thank you, Tony. 11:60, and thank you, Dennis. Look at that. Okay, that actually works now. I managed to, like, there's very little OBS can do as far as graphics and stuff. Oh, Benny Loco, thank you. Reminding everybody to give a thumbs up, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And I will, let's see, do I have, yeah, I can close out with, where is it? Here you go. I'll close out with music. Because why not, you know? It's like the old days when I could start the music before the show ended and then jump into the ending. I mean, I don't have any graphics for the ending though, so it's just a wall. It's just sad. Look. See? Terrible. I mean, what are you gonna do? Oh, I've got to put it on. Hold on. Studio mode. Then we go to the ending. Then we'll do our thing. There we go. Yeah, I'm literally putting together my closeout on there. Let's see. There we go. Move this down here. And I will, let's see. Yeah, that'll be it. I'll just have to fire that up. I will see you guys tomorrow. I will try my best to make this actually, like, work. There you go. Bye!
I had a beat off. I had a beat off. I had a beat off.
Captain's wrong.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Lion, dog face, pony shoulder.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.